What an air nibbler actually does while he's doing that is it really is just like the old hole punchers that you used in school. It's just it's a pneumatic one, and it's going up and down and up and down and up and down, and it literally, they call it a nibbler because it's just nibbling the edge of that metal, and it makes little crescent moons out of the metal, which are the shavings that are everywhere. So what'll happen is it'll actually get stuck on that metal going up and down when it's coming back up, so he's got to pull it back. What do you need? Hey, Mark. He's not getting enough air. Well, I know. I went over there and looked at it to say, do more. He's giving it all she's got, Captain. That's all the air we've got, man. All right, for those of you who've just shown up, walking through, or just joined us on Facebook Live, what we've got here is we are Grease and Gears Garage. We're just a bunch of greasy, dirty mechanics that they've given some time to. We brought all of our tools. We brought R.J. Powell from Ohio, from his shop in West Virginia. We got Chris Callan from Flat Broke in Pittsburgh. And we're going to be making side covers for the motorcycle War Pony that we started building on this stage in Los Angeles, and we'll complete at the last Progressive International Motorcycle Show in Washington, D.C. So you can go back. All these things are on Facebook, either at motorcycleshows.com, jmpcycles.com is carrying them. Cycle Source Magazine has them. You can go back and you can look and you can follow and see what we've been doing here. We've had the likes of LA Speed Shops, Chris Richardson, who now also has House of Machines in Los Angeles. He came up and made a tank for us, didn't he? Yep. And so we've had people Chris narrowed a tank for us. Evan Favaro, who's the lead fabricator at Orange County Choppers and is on American Chopper Television. The young guy, cool friend of ours, came up in New York, and he made a tank. He fabricated a tank from a flat piece of 18-gauge steel. Well, today for War Pony, Chris and RJ are making side covers for this Paco FXR frame on the bike that we're building throughout the entire show.
Okay, so rather than make it any more painful and cut that whole thing out, you can see in a little bit of time, I'm having some compressor issues, but in a little bit of time here, that air nibbler zips right around that. The next thing you want to consider once you get to this point completely cut out is you want to consider how the form of the frame is going to be once you have this piece up against it. So what I do is I take my template up here, and all the places that I can see where this frame bends, like there's a bend from here to here on this frame. So I want to make some lines on my template that you can see where I made my lines, where that frame is going to bend, and I'm going to want relief cuts. Now, like I said, this is just the way that I did this. It's not necessarily the professional Metal Shapers Union way, but this is how we used to make old panels for fixing rusty old cars.
We just hope Billy Lane's watching. Yeah. Because you could learn something, Mr. Lane.
Well, what I'll do is I'll take this now and I'll get my template up here on my piece, and you see where I left my extra metal around this. And I'm just going to transfer the idea of where those bends come in to places that I'm going to relief cut this metal. And like I said, this is something we used to do when we worked on rusty old cars. If you had to replace a piece of the fender well, you went in, made a nice piece, made your relief cuts the whole way around it about every inch or so, and then started bending that thing in and forming it into the fender. So same kind of thing that we're doing here.
It's not unlike what carpenters used to do when they had to make, before they had all the fancy moldings you could buy, they would go in and do the same thing, relief cut pieces of wood, and that's how they would bend them to make arches.
So there's all my indications for my relief cut, and from this point all I would do is come in with a cutoff wheel, and I'd cut away the metal from the corners, from the bottom where it's going to mount, and I'd relief cut these pieces where it's going to bend. And from here we can start taking this thing to the T-dolly and radiusing those edges over.
I These little birds are sharp, Chris. I just got one stuck in my finger, my pointer finger.
Now
my
this,
point, it's going to bleed on somebody.
This is one of the best tools that RJ ever turned me on to. I used to do this with hand dollies. I used to, like I said, the first couple times we did this, we put a pipe in the vise, and we used that pipe to bend over to get the radius, because you don't want these things to just be square. You don't want to lay them on a hard piece of metal table and just whack them over square. You want to get the shape of a radius piece of steel.
Because you see a lot of guys that'll take that and put it in a metal break, and just break the edge over.
Yeah.
But that's not going to look right. That's why you didn't use the one from Ness. Because you don't want those hard
I'm looking for something
smooth
that's smooth.
lines
I
that
want
are
to
going
get
to match
something.
the rest of the bike.
So, you want to start working these over?
Yeah.
We're going to bring the T-dollies back here. This is a great tool. Like I said, you can look online for about $80. You can get a set of T-dollies like this. This set of 4. Eastwood sells a set. There's a couple other companies out there.
And you can't feel this, but what that is a piece of bar stock, and then it's got a piece of solid round stock on there. And I've tried to make these. I know some of you are saying, oh, $80. This guy's sitting there saying, $80, I'll make my own. I would have probably 300 hours I've tried to make these before, and I always end up, because I heat it and try to roll it, bend it, even a mandrel bender, I always end up with a flat edge there. So $80 is a pretty good deal. I didn't even think I'm buying a set of these because I don't have them. I've only got the ones I made. If any of you on Facebook have questions, or anybody out here feel comfortable to go ahead and ask, we'll answer them to the best of our ability. If you're somebody that we know and you just decided to make fun of us.
Sorry,
again, we have a lot of people watching us on Facebook Live, and I have a microphone, so that wouldn't be wise. I actually had a guy in, was that in, where was that he got, it was in Long Beach, first show out. Guy made a comment, I don't know where he's from, that the host needs to be on Slim Fast. That really got me in the heart. He's probably still watching, wondering if I've lost weight. I haven't, by the way. Still fat. So, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort for a guy to be watching a video of us doing stuff and pick on my weight. I think he's got bigger issues than my weight. I'm just saying. That's right. He needs a therapist.
So you can see what RJ's starting to do. A little bit at a time, he's starting to fold that edge over and radius the corner.
You want a pair of gloves? Because you're a man's. I poked my finger and it's bleeding a little bit. You want to see?
When we kiss it, make it better.
That would be nice. My mom always kissed my boo-boos. And
you guys are terrible. We're trying to do serious stuff up here.
It's motorcycle work, man. Stop making fun. It's motorcycle work. Chris, what's that device?
This is something straight from Flat Broke Chops and Rods. This is an anvil.
An anvil?
It used to be a piece of railroad track, but
I was noticing that. So
they left that lay outside the shop too long, and we scooped that up.
Scoop that up. I tell you what, if you are wanting to get in a metal shaping and do it cheap, if you can find sections of railroad track,
buddy.
Oh man,
or I-beams, old I-beams, tearing down a building, man, you can get a piece of that stuff. What's important about this? We have 4 or 5 different size anvils at our shop. Once you start getting these things folded over and you end up in those little corners, you want a place to work that out and work that corner out nice and end up with nice tight fitting pieces. It's going to happen on something like an anvil. When you get up to here, you want to work that out with your hammer. You're going to have something with a nice point like this to work from. These things are invaluable.
They are invaluable. They also, anvils, a lot of people don't know this. If any of you have old anvils laying around, I will come pick them up for free, and I don't care how far from my house they are. Anvils are now selling for right about between $1 and $1.25 a pound.
Do you want this?
You see these.
On this corner.
Billy Lane actually has one that's, I think it's a 400-pound anvil in his shop. I mean, it's just incredible. And when they start getting that big, and depending on age, those are new anvils, $1.25 a pound. The older ones and the antique ones and the unusual ones go for a lot more. So if you can find one,
a few of them here,
take it. Austin. Oh, look, there's my girl. What's up, Addie? Is your bike here, Addie? Addie, come up here. You can bring your dad if he must come. Come all the way around. Come on up. Do I need what?
Plug well.
Oh, thank you. Antiseptic for my boo-boo. I don't need that. What's up? Ladies and gentlemen, we have in the house Austin Andrella. Hey, man, how's it going? And Addie, how are you? These guys...
Look at
a handheld? Oh, I need get a handheld. You guys can actually talk. Now, what these guys are cool. Austin is a pipe fitter by trade, correct?
Correct.
But he builds some of the world's best motorcycles. He's a multiple-time national winner at different motorcycle shows. But and this is his daughter Addie. But they have a project right now, and it's Daddy and Addie have been building it. Tell us what that is. What are you guys building?
We're building a 1971 Honda Mini Trail 50.
A 1971 Honda Mini Trail 50. And it's in the show, right? What number is it here?
I think it's 1750.
1750?
I believe.
So this has been a daddy-daughter project, correct? Now, Austin, how did this project come to be?
Well, you guys mentioned something to me last year about building a bike with her because you saw posts of me in the garage with her.
Yeah, that is, but I tell you what, they are just absolutely, she's adorable, and obviously Daddy's got the same hair she does. He wanted to be a girl too, but he couldn't. But now it's all girls in your house except for Daddy, right?
Right.
But you are his shop helper, right?
And ammo.
Our dog.
Your dog's a boy, yeah. So now,
Yeah, right.
you're the big shop helper?
Uh-huh.
What are you learning how to do at the shop?
Weld.
You're learning how to weld, and how old are you?
8.
8 years old. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Addie. Addie may graduate from college. She may go to medical school. She may be an attorney. But one thing she'll always have is a skill that she can pawn off for cash because her daddy's going to teach her how to weld, which is a forever skill. So appreciate it, Austin. Really
thank you,
do,
sir.
man. Thanks for being with us. Hey, man, what do you think of this stuff? You been doing any of this kind of metal shaping at your place lately?
A little bit.
A little bit?
He does it way nicer than us.
So, well, he's got help.
I know.
He's got Addie. I mean,
She's got little hands.
That's what we were talking about, man. You know, when she rode in with that bike today, I don't know about this Daddy 2 stuff because I see a lot of the design cues that we've been giving you props for that are on her bike.
I know, right?
So I'm thinking maybe she's responsible
in the background.
for a little more over there than we
I
do.
say she's my lead designer.
There you go, lead designer. Well, Jackie, do you need to tell us what else is going on over there at Flo's Chop Shop?
All sorts of awesome stuff going on out here at
Thanks,
Flo's
appreciate
Chop
it.
Shop and Progressive Parlor. Not only is the main stage up there, the boys from Grease and Gears
I'm
Garage
here, sweetie.
hosting all of those incredible presentations all weekend long here at the Progressive Parlor. We've got Flo's Chop Shop up and running. Free barbershop services going on back there for everybody here at the bike show. Just head on back, get yourself signed up, and take advantage of those awesome free barbershop services. Our in-house resident mechanic, Daniel, is back there as well with that great-looking Yamaha. If you've got any questions on maintaining your bike, changing your oil, fork seal replacement, anything you've got questions about, head on back there and feel free to pick his brain. He'd love to chat with you about maintaining your ride. Also, when you get signed up for your chance to win our giveaway bike in the middle of our display, that beautiful BMW from Disowned Customs, I'm going to throw in a free t-shirt just because I can. And last but certainly not least, if you are a Progressive policy holder, welcome back. We are your hometown heroes. Progressive, proudly based out of Cleveland, Ohio. The hometown heroes, if you're a member of our family, we've got a VIP gift waiting for you over at the Coffee Grinder. So head on over there and flash me that policy card, and I've got more freebies and goodies waiting for you as a thank you for being members of our Progressive family. But come on over, friends, and grab a seat. You are just in the middle of an awesome first presentation from our friends at Grease and Gears Garage.
All right, Jackie. And I know what I love about when Progressive shows up is they always have the agents on site. And those two over there, it looks like a daddy and daughter team this weekend. But it's they always have them there, and they have an encyclopedic knowledge of all things insurance related. So you can go over there and ask them about pet insurance, car insurance, motorcycle insurance, boat insurance. Always fascinating to play Stump the Insurance Agent at any place that Progressive shows up with the Chop Shop. Chris, where are we now?
Well, RJ's making good progress on this. RJ, tell everybody a little bit about what you're trying to do while you're working this. So it's not just like put it up there and whack it and try to get the end folded over.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you want to have a nice rounded contour on the edges of it, not a chunky square contour like the covers that you're replacing. So you're trying to utilize the contour of your dolly, which, of course, we have different contour on the dollies because of the different sizes. And, I mean, you can even modify these. And on a cover like this size, it's a little tougher with this. You could utilize a little bit smaller of a dolly, and that's where, you're making your own tools. But essentially, what we're trying to do is get the contour in this, and then also it's really hard to see from back there, but the tips of these, they'll kind of contour in on the front and on the back. So what I'm trying to do is work a little bit of that contour in as we're roughing everything in here. And with the reliefs, that's allowing us to get the nice flowing bend into it, and it allows the metal to stretch a little bit easier. A lot of guys that do this, there's 60 different ways to actually make this piece.
But there's only two things you can do with a piece of metal, and that's shrink it and stretch it.
Ladies
Correct.
and gentlemen, Aaron Green.
Aaron Green
there.
taught us that. You can only shrink it and stretch it. And so those are the principles. And so right now, you're actually stretching the material.
Well, I'm stretching it mostly. There's a little bit of shrinking going on in these areas in here, and that's the whole reason with the reliefs. It allows it to shrink around there a lot faster.
When you have those reliefs, so say you want to bring that edge down and you want to get that nice radius across the top, you want those reliefs like fingers to be able to spread. So if you want it to come in tight, you want the fingers to come in. If you want it to go out, you want them to be able to go out. Then after the fact, we're going to come back with some plug weld pliers and fill those fingers back in after we get it to the shape that we want.
Right on.
But for now, I'll tell you, let's take this because of our time here with you guys today. So where we're at with this right now is a really great start. I'm going to put this up on stage here if you want to come and check it out. It is a piece of metal, so please don't cut your hand. But what I've done with this one is kind of worked in rough fashion. Actually, RJ's doing a much better job than I would, but I'm going to put this one here. This is one that we've radius completely around. Now you see what RJ was talking about. He took the time to really work the form of those corners where I didn't as much. So I'm going to take these over to the belt grinder, and I'm going to bring my corners in, then we're going to check our fitment.
Right on. Now, we just had Austin and Addie up here from the hometown shop right here in Iowa. Austin is going to be up here. The next segment of Grease and Gears Garage, Austin will be up here, and he's going to be doing some more metal shaping for us. He's going to actually be making the seat pan for War Pony. And again, if you've just joined us either Facebook Live or kind of wandered through here at Flo's Chop Shop, this is Grease and Gears Garage. We're just a bunch of dirty mechanics that they've given the opportunity to bring our tools up here from the shop. And we come in from different shops. We got Flat Broke, we got Sin Central, Cutthroat. No, we don't. God, now I've forgotten the name of your shop.
Cutting Edge
Customs. God, I know RJ really well, too. I've screwed around with Cutthroat so much.
It's
kind of like when you go out partying and you play around with ossifer instead of officer, and then you get pulled over by a policeman. You say, what do you need, ossifer? And right away you're doing the little blow thing. But anyway, we've got 3 different shops represented up here. And what we do at Grease and Gears Garage is give you a little glimpse into what life in a shop looks like. We're going to be making something. We've narrowed tanks on stage. We've built fenders. We've made tanks from scratch. We've had all kinds of folks up here working with us over this is our 4th show with the Progressive International Motorcycle Show. So, but this right now, what we're doing is we're making side panels for a bike called War Pony. And War Pony started off just a scratch frame from Paco, the drivetrain, the heart of the beast out of one of Chris's old bikes that got totaled. But it was a built motor, so it didn't want to go to waste. So War Pony is a bike that we started building in Long Beach, and we will finish in Washington, D.C., and then Chris is going to ride it from Washington, D.C., all the way back to Pittsburgh.
Actually, at the end of the year, we're going to take this bike to Bonneville, and we're going to see what it actually does. Danny from Zippers is putting together a hell of a motor for us, and we're going to see if we can make a good pass at the time trials.
Man, I've got a 61 Norton Manxman sitting at the house, and the frame is shot, and the front end shot. the motor's all there, and it was a 2-year only model. And there's nobody that's ever run a Manxman at the Bonneville Salt Flats. So all I got to do is get that thing running and rolling, and I can set a speed record on it.
Right?
Okay, so you guys can see basically what's happening here is we got the shape. I'm starting to look at fitment, but I'm still not really concerned with that because this is still just a flat, square piece of steel. Even though we have this little bit of radius in, that's not where I want it. If I wanted that, we would have went way tighter with the design and got it to slip in just like that, but it would have been just like a flat, regular piece of steel. What I want to do is I want to get this angle here. From here to here, there's an angle back like that. So I want to start building that body in with this. So that, again, is where our relief cuts come in. I'm actually going to take this thing, and this is going to seem like super archaic and caveman-like, but I'm just going to grab a big hammer, and I'm going to line up the middle lines of my relief cuts.
So you strategically put your relief cuts right in that bend for that reason.
And I'm going to start getting that body line.
The nice thing about it is, for some reason, my old lady thinks that just because I can weld and beat metal that I'm a carpenter. I hate wood. Only thing I know how to do with wood is cut it too short and burn it.
Yep.
That's the only two things I can do with wood. Nice thing about metal is you can go at it with a great big hammer because you can always bend it back the other direction. You can heat it up. You can cut it. And it always, if you've made those scooped edges, it always makes a nice appetizer tray, even if it doesn't turn out to be what you wanted it to be.
It also makes a good pile of a lot of ruined metal to haul to the scrap.
It does.
To get a little bit of money back.
But you know what I do is I got a buddy across the street from me, Rick. He's got Max Hot Rod Shop. I go over to his metal scrap pile, and that's where I get a lot of my metal from. Shoot, he throws away a lot of good metal. But he builds hoods and fenders and stuff for his old rat rods all the time.
Right.
So when he makes a mistake, he thinks his whole piece is ruined. And I'm like, no.
Well, actually, it is ruined. I would,
yeah, it's horrible.
No.
It's terrible.
Let me have that. I'll take it to scrap for you.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to find you a clamp.
But you know that Chris says it all the time, and it shows in the magazine as well, Cycle Source that he has, that you that's choppers. That's what choppers are. You're finding stuff. It's using found stuff and manipulating it and shaping it and recreating it so that you can build a motorcycle out of it. And that is the fun of it. So.
Okay, so
Now, you guys, I think you can see now where he just, really simply took that big hammer, but because he'd made those relief cuts, it allowed him to get that line in there that's gonna mimic the bends that we have in the frame that are going back towards the center point on the frame.
that's way too fat.
I think you're pretty, Chris. Oh, the piece. I'm sorry.
I resemble that comment.
Hey, you
So
heard
like I
me at the
said,
beginning.
that's
In
where,
Long Beach, a guy put up a post that I need to be on Slim Fast.
That's where RJ taking his time on that metal pays off way more.
Yeah.
But we're showing you the idea of this thing.
You want a bigger hammer?
No.
Now, honestly, if I were going to try to get that shape at this point, I actually would probably beat it into that hole.
Well, I've done.
I would beat it because then I know it fits. I'd beat it into the hole.
Oh, and I will
It's
do
square,
I will
hole
do
round,
that.
hammer, pat, make, work.
At this point, it's nothing. So
You're not really hurting anything. It's all a means to an end. Once you get it in there and you get that shape correct, then you start bringing your body into it.
Now, I will tell you the trick is once you get one made, you have to make another one just like it.
That's the biggest trick.
That is. I can. I've made some of the most beautiful half of a motorcycle tanks in the world.
That's the
couple
biggest
hanging
thing
on my
too.
wall.
Yeah.
What we're showing you guys here is just kind of like free forming this stuff. If you watch guys like Evan Favaro, Will Ramsey, they actually build bucks that they make their stuff off of. It's identical.
Right.
You know, this is very, very fundamental.
And they're gonna. What a buck is what they would first do is they would take a piece of wood, and they would make the shape that they want out of a piece of wood that they could mount on a stand then, and then they would beat their metal over. They'd stretch the metal over it.
Just slightly smaller than what you want.
Right, and then they would make it. But a lot of times guys do that too because they're going to make more than one piece, and so they can save those bucks.
I have a tank design that I do. If you've seen any of my bikes, most of my bikes have a similar tank. And the back of that tank, I have a wooden buck that I made, and a lot of it's done with files, using them to slap with, and a big metal spoon. And that way you're getting a consistent piece every time.
Yep.
And ultimately we could have made
it's
bucks
worth
for
the
these.
time if you're going to make more than
Correct.
one set. If you're just making a one-off set, to me it's not worth the time because I don't like working with wood.
You'll tie a day up making a set of bucks, and that's just getting them roughed in.
Yeah, because it's hard to weld wood back. Once you've shaved too much off, it's hard to put it back.
Yeah.
You can, I learned doing that because I had to make some bucks. I'm not very good at it. And when you take the sawdust and you mix it with Elmer's glue and you put it back on there and you can sand it back
Right.
down. See, I'm really bad at woodwork.
Well, I tried welding the wood back together, but I caught it on fire.
Yeah, that's good to do in December, though, when it's cold outside.
Helps keep the shop warm.
Yeah. All right, Chris, how close have we gotten?
We're getting there, man.
Yeah, he's definitely making headway on it.
Yeah.
But it's a battle. This is the stuff you go through to get a custom handmade piece.
If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Just like you said, though, I'll start pounding this stuff in and letting it take its own shape.
Natural shape. Yeah, let the bike help you. But again, if you've painted your frame already, then you got ahead of the process anyway, so you're kind of an
way
idiot.
ahead.
So
Yeah.
we've seen those guys, though, right? The first thing they do when they get their frame is they take it and have it painted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they got to weld their tabs on it.
Once you get to that point where you're getting it, basically in the shape that you need, and it's starting to fit into it better. Look, I can't leave it alone either. Once you get to that point, it's time to start adding the strength back to it. So really, really cool tool that I guess it was Dan O'Donnelly's father, Leo, that turned us on to this, they said.
Years ago, he showed me those.
Plug weld pliers. Like if you were going to go at this with a TIG or whatever, long, tedious time of sitting there and dopping that. Really nice with plug weld pliers. You lock them on. Because of the material that pad's made out of, the weld doesn't stick to it. So it's kind of a little bit of cheating, but it saves you a lot of time. Lock them on there. It gives you the ability to come in, tack everything, get it rigid, let it cool down, come back in and get this welded up. So this is, once again, a whole piece.
And these two would TIG weld it, and I would MIG weld it.
Well, no, I MIG weld a lot.
When I'm doing metal work, there's neither way. TIG welding's cleaner. Al Austin, he posts up stuff for some reason, because he's a lot younger than us, but he TIG welds everything. He's always posting pictures of his welds.
Oh, I'm guilty of that myself. But
there you go.
As far as like sheet metal like that, there's nothing wrong with MIGing it because you're grinding all of it back out. As long as you're getting a good, consistent strength in the weld and it's penetrated, it's going to work for you.
So at this point, you can see we got our body shape. We have all of our relief cuts welded back up. This thing is actually ready to start working because even though we have dimension to it, it doesn't really have body. It doesn't have a nice flow, a nice smooth line. So we're actually going to start working that with a beater bag and some panel beater hammers. And we'll work on that next. I'm going to put this piece down here too so you guys can look at this. But again, remember, this is actual metal, so don't cut yourself.
Yes, sir.
We're looking at about 6 minutes.
Okay.
So the other thing is, when you get started on a project like this, and we say this about everything, anything you do with a motorcycle, whether you're just putting on a set of exhaust or whatever you're doing, or even a set, just replacing a set of grips.
Right there.
If you've never done it before, just take your time and enjoy it. And when you get frustrated, walk away. This stuff takes time, and you're not going to do it perfect the first time.
So, again, this is just how I do things, for what it's worth. I'm going to make a pattern in here of how I want my body line to go. And then inside that pattern, just for the purpose of seeing how my material starts to move, I'm going to make some reference lines. And as this material starts to move, those lines will move with it. So I lay my lines out. And I'm going to start not with a whole lot of force because it doesn't actually take that much, but Big Joe taught us this before. Joe was up here working on this stage. Start in the middle, work in a circle, keep working it out, keep dishing it, go a little bit deeper, come back.
Remember, you're actually moving the molecules in the metal. And so you start from the outside and push it in, you're just going to end up with a lump in the middle. So you just really want to move it out towards the edge. And it's going to get ugly before it gets pretty.
You can see I'm starting to get some belly in it already. I'm going to move to the other end of the hammer and start moving it now that I got some motion.
Good job, Mark. RJ, put your tongue in there. Let's see if it's working. Oh, now's a good time. I wouldn't do... Yeah, I would. You knew I would. Wouldn't have killed you, but it sure would have hurt you.
Mark, where's the bottom dies? The bottom dies for it.
That's like real work, Pat.
Yeah, if you do this enough, well, it does. If you've done it for a long time, or if you're just starting, it has the same result. Your wrist and your elbows are going to hurt. So what we're doing now is, obviously we're making, if you just joined us on Facebook Live or just wandering through, we're making side panels for the bike that we're building across the 7-show series, War Pony. And Chris now, he's got the basic shape that he wants for those, but he doesn't want them just to be a flat panel. He wants them to massage a little bit of a contour into them. And so basically you've got a leather bag here, and the bag has a special material that's really hard to find. It's called sand in it. And he's using some, these are nylon mallets that he's using. We have a good friend, Snap Fab Joe, out in South Dakota, makes a really nice set of wooden mallets that you can purchase from him. His dad makes some really nice round bags. You can either put sand in your shaping bag, or you can put the same kind of shot that you put in shotgun shells, just shot, that's what it is. And they have different sizes of it. RJ likes to use shot. Chris uses sand. I use shot in my big bag until eventually the shot breaks down and becomes like sand, and then I put it in my smaller shaping bags because I'm cheap and I'll recycle that stuff forever.
Allen Ridge.
See, and I made this design so I can start to follow where I want that body line to end up here.
Right on. And show the camera up here so they can see your grid, too. The grid in there, those were perfectly square boxes. Well, not perfectly square, but they were square boxes. And you can see now they're beginning to... So he can see how that shape's working out there.
And again, just like everything, these come in a variety of different sizes for different purposes. You know, when you want to...
We're done at 4.
In 4 minutes. Hurry up. So I'm just going to come around the outside edge with this little guy. start making my final. Well, the timing is the hardest part. When you work in a shop, you don't think about it. Hours go by.
That's why I can't make any money building motorcycles, because I forget how much time it's taking.
Okay. Once we get to this point, so we got a nice shape started into the outside of this. We got a little belly working into this. We got our form according to our frame dimensions. And we're going to work with the planishing hammer.
Yeah, need to
Try to bring this all back to smooth and nice. And Straight.
You could finish it all
this one.
here. You could finish it with hammers and other things that are dollies.
That's good.
Body men use them on panels and stuff, and there's all different kinds of shapes of dollies. You can use any solid piece of steel or wood for a dolly, so you could do that. A planishing hammer is just a pneumatic hammer that's going to allow you to smooth much quicker. It's got a variety of different kinds of dies that you can get and insert, which they're desperately looking for right now. But you're just going to go with this one?
I think so.
Yeah, baby.
RJ, that's too loose.
We got to make sure we get off here because we got celebrities in the house. Skidmark Garage is here. God knows we don't want to tie those guys up. They're mean motorcycle dudes. Gets me every time. If you thought getting a grinder was good for your marriage, a planishing hammer will do communications wonders. Yeah, that's on.
Sometimes when you're working this and you're going to get down to a little bit tighter here, the tighter you make this, the smoother the metal comes out, but the more it's moving the metal too. The tighter you get it, the more you want to put like a little layer of WD-40 or some tool oil or something on there so it moves easier. Okay.
What? All right. What do we got?
So,
look at that.
We're still a little bit away from actually having a finished product here, but you guys can see basically in an hour here we've gone from a flat piece of steel and started to come up with a nice shape. You know, and you keep going back and forth. Like as I've worked on the planishing hammer with this thing, it started to change the shape a little bit. So we'll come back in and we'll radius those edges a little bit more and get a nice fit. What you want to come up with at the end, this is one of our finished panels. Well, nearly finished. We're going to spend more time with this one even still, but you can see how this one pops in real nice. Has the nice shape that matches the contour lines of the frame here. You know, a little bit of sweat equity, couple tools that you can get for not a whole lot of money. Makes a big difference in your finished product because you're going to have something. Not only do you have the pleasure of telling somebody, hey, this is how I did this. I did it in my garage. I did it with my own hands. But there's not going to be another one out there that looks like that.
And the big thing, what you did there, I mean, aside from this particular tool, every tool that was used here
Hand
is
tool.
relatively affordable. This tool makes that set go really, really quick. If you don't have that tool, it can be done with a hammer and dollies, and it's just time at that point.
It's a
so
lot
if you
of
can't
time.
afford one of these tools, but they are making a lot of these tools very, very affordable.
Listen, I'll tell you the truth. A lot of people don't like to talk about some of the tools you get from companies like Eastwood or, even the Harbor Freight tools. But seriously, for the home garage guy, the guy that's on a budget that got a family and you're trying to take care of your family, they make some of these a planishing hammer for $180 from companies like that, and they will work.
They work wonders.
Well, and we're getting ready. We're finishing up here, but there's getting ready to be a group of guys from Skidmark Garage come up, and they've developed a really unique community garage where they have some of these tools so that you can go and they'll actually show you how to use them, and you can do that with them as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, Grease and Gears Garage, we appreciate it. Chris, RJ, and I enjoyed hanging out with you. We'll be here all weekend. Check the boards for our other times.
You all. Thank you, guys. Hey, I'm going to leave these up here if you guys want to check out the stuff that we did. I'll put them off to the side.
Well, put your hands together, folks, one more time for our friends from Grease and Gears.